On now. Good? Okay. I'll take a roll call for the open workshop. It is 5:01. Trustee Alonso is absent. Trustee Broderick is absent. Trustee Burke
Here.
is here. Trustee Casillas is here. Trustee Egan is here. Trustee Finnerty is here. Trustee Wilbeck is absent. Vice President Munoz is here, and President Vallado is here. I'll turn the meeting over to the superintendent.
Thank you, sir. This evening we have a presentation on item A18, curriculum item. It's on Linkit. Linkit is going to be Chad Marcus, Director of Marketing. From Linkit is doing a presentation for us, for the board. This, again, it's free of charge for us. What they do is they collect student achievement data, classroom data, or the reason they do that is to quantify performance. And what they do is they share this data with our administrators, with our classroom teachers. And again, this is at no cost to the district, but they're going to explain what it is, what it does, and he's meeting us via Zoom, or Google Meet. Google Meet. Oh, okay. Thank you. It's via Google Meet, so he'll be meeting with us to discuss what Linkit is and what they do and the services that they provide. There's Chad. Hi, Chad. How are you?
Everyone?
Chad, I'm going to turn I just kind of introduced you a little bit, but if you could take it from there to explain to the board this free service that we have available to us, that would be most helpful. Thank you, sir.
Sure. Forgive me, it was a little hard to hear. Did you want me to get started now? Or?
Yes, start now.
Great, great. Go ahead and share my screen. Can you hear me okay? Wonderful. All right, everyone. Well, thank you so much. I am Chad Marcus. I'm the Chief Academic Officer from Linkit, and I very much appreciate the opportunity to share our solution with the Bayonne Board of Education and leadership team. So we are a Manhattan-based company. We are very much nationwide, but our largest concentration of partner districts is right here in the Garden State. Currently, we partner with about 40% of the states, just about 250 New Jersey school districts, and we do so to support their data warehousing and assessment and analytics goals. So I'll spend a brief amount of time diving into those today, and certainly happy to answer any questions you might have. First and foremost, we are a data warehouse. So what that basically means is that we are going to sync up on a nightly basis with your real-time student information system. So all of your students and staff and courses will be there. But then our goal is to help the district take data that lives in many diverse, disconnected systems and put it all in one place. So any educator, teacher, or leader that works with a student and has that child in his or her class will be able to see all of the academic data across all grade levels, subjects, and school years for those students. And they'll be able to use this information to inform teaching and leadership decisions for individual students, as you see here looking at a demo of our student history, but certainly going beyond just an individual student to be able to look at data for any roster that they have access to. So this would be an individual class, but building principals can see data across their entire school. And of course, central office administrators could access individual results or diverse multiple measures across multiple grade levels and subjects. So again, this is an interactive report that allows you to sort and filter and very strategically identify those kids and then track them as we work together to set goals to help each child maximize his or her potential. One of the additional data points that we use with many of our school districts that we partner with are predictive analytics around our benchmarks. So our benchmarks are available kindergarten all the way up through high school for both English language arts and mathematics. They're typically administered in the fall, winter, and spring, and they help to expose students to traditional questions, but also those technology enhanced questions that kids see on the state assessment. So it's a great way to get kids comfortable with online testing and continue to help them to become acclimated with that experience. As I mentioned, these are associated and normed to be predictive of state assessment achievement, but we also include what we call LGPs. So LGPs are linkage growth profiles, and they're very similar to the state's SGPs that they use to basically show what typical growth looks like based on a student's individual starting point. So we do the same thing. We compare your kids to other students just like themselves here in the state of New Jersey based on their initial academic baseline performance. The tests are practical. They fit into a single class period. We give you 3 questions per standard. So we're going to make sure that we give you reliable data. Of course, one of the QSAC requirements is that districts do have a benchmarking tool, and our tool is very much compliant with the state's expectations. And we provide a variety of different options to administer those tests, whether students are hopefully in the school building, but as remote instruction obviously is still a need given the current environment. Kids can take those tests from home on any type of device, but we also offer kiosk mode options that can lock down the browser and enhance test security should that be your goal. So these are an example of those linkage growth profiles. Again, we would work with you to make sure everyone feels comfortable using this level of detail, because one of the things we see is that when kids take benchmark assessments, as you'll see here on the slide, we look at both positive and negative growth. So one of the things that we do is decouple kids that are getting better, and unfortunately those kids that are moving in the wrong direction, because this is going to allow educators to not only see where they need to focus their efforts, but it's also going to give you a lens to compare classrooms and school buildings to other districts around the state of New Jersey to see are the instructional practices and the curriculum that you're implementing in Bayonne generating those desired outcomes. So more ability to do comparative analytics. Moving beyond analytics to test to an assessment strategy, here we can support the district in a variety of ways. First and foremost, teachers and administrators can go in and create tests any grade, any subject. So here you can see what our test authoring screen looks like, and we offer the ability obviously to create more traditional multiple choice questions, but as I mentioned earlier, all of those technology enhanced items. And teachers really like this for a variety of reasons, because one, we can save them a significant amount of time. All of the items you see on this screen, with the exception of the extended text, which is more of an essay style question, or a drawing response, all of the other items are going to be automatically graded for the teacher. Even a fill in the blank question like, who was the first president of the United States? As long as your answer key includes George Washington, GW, G. Washington, it can automatically score all of those answers and give instant feedback to kids. So any of those auto-graded items, as soon as a student clicks submit on their computer, they would be able to get feedback about what they know and where they need to continue to improve. And that feedback is something certainly we want to continue to extend to provide to not only the instructional and leadership team within Bayonne, but for those assessments that the district would like to share with parents and kids. Via our student parent portal, we can really help you increase the return on the time that you invest in assessment. So we can provide very specific feedback to parents and students as well that's very customizable. And those are, again, available both in printed reports and via our online secure student parent portal. But this is what it looks like to take a test on Linkit. So here you can see very similar for those of you that are familiar with the state assessment. Again, we provide all of the tools. We respect all the accommodations that students would need. And again, this is something that teachers may have created from scratch. This is something that they could have searched for items via an item bank. But we also offer a service that if you would like to simply send us your existing tests, whether they're on paper or online, we will take the time to copy and paste and recreate all of that assessment so the district can very seamlessly move to administering the bulk of their assessments via our online platform. And just to show you a couple of the reports here, this is one called Class Diagnostic. And again, this is just a quick little clip here that's going to repeat as I give you a couple of highlights about this report. Here, one of the things we really try to do is make sure that data and analytics connect to classroom practices. So this is designed to really complement things like teachers are already doing within their lesson planning and differentiation. So you can see standards and questions and topics, and you can very easily see at a whole class level where students are strong and where the majority of your students may need to continue to improve. But you can also click on a question or a standard and see the kids that answered it correctly or incorrectly, just as you'll see here in a moment when you click on that row. There you can see all of those students. And these are, again, are printable and exportable as well. At the question level, we're going to provide easy on-screen access to the content, the passages that kids had to read, as well as these rationales that help students better understand why their correct answers were correct and why, unfortunately, they may have made an incorrect answer choice as well. Moving on, this is a great report called Item Analysis. And here, teachers in their professional learning communities or in their department or grade level meetings can look at the types of mistakes that kids are making in bulk and to see, what was the root cause of that error. And if teachers can hopefully come to consensus about why kids are making the mistakes that they're making, well, they can also then collaboratively plan to ensure they don't continue to make those same mistakes again and again. And again, this interactive report would allow you to click anywhere on the screen to access content and see who the kids are that are making those individual errors and certainly answering questions correctly as well. Another way that we support districts is really expanding their assessment and data culture and strategy. So as much as you can send us data from any source, whether it's the state assessments or the PSATs and SATs that students make, attendance and behavior and grades, any data that's out there, we want you to just send it to us. But for data that you haven't yet collected that might be associated with a more of an observational assessment or a performance task, or in this case, a very popular reading assessment in the state of New Jersey, F&P or DRA, teachers can go in and see all their students right there on the screen and just collect the data exactly the way the district intends for it to be collected. So we have rules in here that prevent teachers from entering data perhaps by number when it's calling for a letter, or by entering more than one value in to ensure the integrity of that data. And then as you can see there on the bottom right, that's what it looks like in reporting. And we automatically apply those color codes based on Bayonne's unique expectations for student performance. And if those expectations differ by, let's say, grade level or by time of year, the data will automatically inherit the correct performance bands and achievement levels and all that color coding to ensure that the data is very intuitive and easy to apply by all district staff. And certainly with students continuing to transition back to school and with all of the variables and considerations that educators need to make, there's a big uptick on the collection of social emotional data as well. So this is a tool that's not just designed for academic data, but you can collect social emotional data, evidence of student proficiency by standard, and again, color code all this information based on your unique expectations and correlations to other data sets to help make the information predictive. Okay, transitioning from an online platform to more of our offline analytics. So offline, we call this product category Navigator. And these are reports that Lincoln's team of data analysts are going to create for the team in Bayonne that really that bypasses the need to mine and create and bundle all these reports. So this is, by the way, based on public data from the Department of Education that was released last year. And here you can see how Bayonne compares from a demographic standpoint to the whole state, to Hudson County, to the historical district factor group, which was based on the 2000 census. But given things have changed over the last 20 years, we're also going to compare you to similar groups of socioeconomic, consistent, free, and reduced lunch populations. So I just quickly picked two quick examples here, looking at ELA and math, where Bayonne certainly is shining in comparison to those comparative groups. But we're going to go ahead and take care of all of your annual board mandated reporting. This is an example not of Bayonne's data, but of demo data that shows how a district compared over the last 5 years on the state assessment. So this is a public reporting mandate that's required annually, and this is included in our subscription for all of our New Jersey district partners. Along with that report, we go beyond what the compliance requires, and we focus in on something called achievement level mobility. So this is a really important analysis where we look at kids, let's say where they were 2 years ago when they took the test in a lower grade, and we look at what percentage of kids moved up achievement levels, hopefully not down achievement levels. And we monitor this at the district level, the school level, and the classroom level, working with individual teachers to set goals that are attainable, but still quite ambitious based on what we have seen across the state. So these are common goals that educators are setting, but we'll certainly work with your leadership team to customize them more specifically. Of course, at the high school level, we're going to do a lot with your graduation pathways to ensure that the guidance teams and the educators at the high school are ensuring that the graduation rate is maximized and ensuring that students have opportunities through all the Department of Education assessments to really show how they've met the requirements that the state has put forth. But we're also going to look at risk and predictive analytics. So for example, here on the screen, you can see on the left that this sample district had, we looked at what it took for students to meet expectations on the state assessment in third grade. And then we mapped the data backward to look at where kids were at the beginning of third grade, in second grade, and first grade, and even what percentage of letters they knew way back when in kindergarten. So this is a great way to identify those kids who are potentially at risk, as well as those who are candidates for advanced achievement. And we do this not only for the younger students in the primary grades, but we can do this longitudinal regression analysis for your kids in AP from an equity lens to make sure the right kids are getting the right opportunities. We do this based on several other factors as well. And just wrapping up, as I'm sure you have a full agenda, intervention manager. So we're going to support your RTI initiatives to help you effectively tier your students automatically based on multiple measures to identify the right students for the right levels of support. And then we're going to help you to set goals and progress monitor those goals throughout the course of the school year. And lots of PD opportunities. We have on-demand data engagement exercises that throughout the year that help educators use the data in the correct context. But in addition to myself being a former director of curriculum in the state of New Jersey, I was director of curriculum for many years over in North Brunswick. All of our regional account managers are also former educators here in the Garden State. So we look to really provide not only support, but consultation around the way data can be used really at that instructional level and leadership level as well. So I want to come back while we still have some time and answer any questions you might have. And again, greatly appreciate the opportunity to share a solution with the board and leadership team here in Bayonne. Oh, sure.
The survey, are companies operating? So and the question is, how our data is certainly used in overall metrics around the state, but certainly our student profiles will be, or I should say, our student names will not be accessible to anybody outside of the district.
Absolutely. We take privacy and security very, very seriously. We have shared a memorandum of understanding that elaborates on that quite a bit in terms of that we don't sell data to anyone. We don't share data with anyone. The public data that you saw there that was specific to Bayonne is public data that's released by the Department of Education. But any data that you put into our data warehouse by name only is accessible by users within the Bayonne School District. Every district has their own portal, their own URL, completely secure login, and it's all permission-based. So even teachers that don't work with other students wouldn't have access to that information, even within your own district.
Thank you.
All right. Well, thank you once again for the opportunity. We look forward to partnering and working very closely with your team to help continue to support Bayonne's educational practices. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, trustees, I have 2 items of business. The first, if you could turn to C, I changed it up, C5. Mr. Kopaz, our monthly harassment, intimidation, bullying report for the board. Anything this month?
Thank you, Dr. Mayor. No incidents this month for C5. C1, every October, it is a state requirement to report all acts of violence and vandalism that are also reported to the Student Safety Data System for the state. For the 2019-20 school year, the Bayonne Public School District reported 55 acts of violence and vandalism, and that was broken down to each category in your packet. Thank you, Dr. Mayor.
And then on item A1, the adopt and revision policies, regulations, and bylaws. These were the ones that were introduced last month. I'd like to turn it over to Trustee Egan because we have a group that is going to be submitted tonight to be voted on for November.
Yep. And hopefully everybody saw the email. There is 4 policies that were subject to changes that affected personnel. So we sent it out to the central office. They were able to choose from Strauss SMA's various recommendations. Those are included in this packet. And because it didn't deal with board policy, we went with that. And then finally, the rest of the packet is regulation. So we have no choice. Strauss SMA did the wording because they are consultants in it. And then that's what we're presenting tonight for voting for November 23rd. And then there's one more.
Yeah.
There's one more that came in today. Trustee Finnerty wanted placed. I don't know if we want to talk about that now or in a little while. Trustee Finnerty?
Well, one real quick before we get to Trustee Finnerty. So you'll see that I put in front of you a draft. It has November 23rd.
Yep.
That's the submissions of the policies. If anyone didn't happen to see it or wants to see it, I will make you a copy or it is on file in my office.
I'm sorry, that was in the email, but I forgot.
That's
Yeah,
okay.
They're in his office.
Trustee Finnerty.
And then Trustee Finnerty's policy, whatever you want to say about it.
I'd like to introduce a policy revision. We've been trying to do this since July, and it's very simple. I went through this at least 3 times already. That resolutions, oftentimes in the past, resolutions have been presented to the board for us to review and to pass, even on the very night that the resolution has been presented. This policy revision just requires that for a resolution to be passed, it has to be presented to the board within 10 days before the board meeting for review. This is an elected board, and it's not just the trustees who make the decisions, it's also the public. So it also gives the opportunity for the public to review. The 10 days is workable, perhaps you can make it 5 days. However, too often in the past, resolutions have been presented, and I really have a problem with, not only I, but other trustees have had problems with making intelligent, informed decisions within 10 or 15 minutes. Indeed, I do believe there was something just recently, Mr. Woods, that involved you, and you hadn't even seen the resolution. It was not presented for your review, and you're the president of the teachers union. It's not presented in a timely fashion. I really find it impossible to make, again, intelligent, informed decisions. This revision just asks for it to be presented. Yes, it does say 10 days. If you want to change it to 5 days, I guess we could do that. But to have a resolution presented on the night to vote doesn't seem to be a very, I mean, you talk about transparency, a transparent thing to do. Are there exceptions? Absolutely. We have emergencies. Emergencies come up, especially in the state of COVID. Who would be the determiner of, well, it's got to be done tonight? Well, that's why we have a superintendent of schools. Ultimately, all the revision says is that superintendent would be the determiner of whether or not that resolution really needs to be voted on expediently tonight, because it will impact where we're going to be going. That's all. So the policy revision is, I'm presenting it. I know the way the procedure is, it has to be presented and someone has to second this policy revision. Does it mean it's going to be passed tonight? No. It has to be considered. I did last month present it to the chairperson of the policy committee with the idea that the policy committee as a group would review this. When I sent an email to the chair of the policy committee, no, they hadn't had the opportunity to review this particular revision.
That was 2 months ago. And then last month, you said that any trustee could present it, so that you were going to present it. So let's get the facts straight. 2 months ago, I missed the meeting, 100%. I took responsibility for that here. But then last month, when we were here, you said you were going to present it to the full board.
Yeah, because I was told that is the way it has to be done. That is the way it's done. I didn't realize that.
Listen, you know that I agree with this in theory. I definitely do. I don't love the details of this policy, but let's not change the facts. I was very happy to bring it to
I'm
committee.
not changing facts. I mean, I might have misunderstood, Mr. Egan. There's no intent to taint any of this.
Cool.
We have a policy committee. We hired Strauss Esme. We have policy committee review. I gave you the copy that perhaps I thought that you would also give to the members of the policy committee. I don't know who the committee members are.
Yeah.
Right now, I'm just asking, okay, let's do it the traditional way. I'm putting this up in order for this to happen, Dr. Bader, I believe it has to be presented that we will review this, and it has to be seconded tonight. And this is just for it to be reviewed. It doesn't mean for it to be passed. Then, in November, no?
No, you just present it. That's it. It'll be, now we'll vote on it next month. That's it.
need a second to present.
We all have it.
You can present it tonight, and I will add it into the November.
Okay.
And then in November, you'll need a second.
All right, so it's just for presentation tonight, and the presentation does not have to be seconded by any other person.
No.
Okay, so well, I'm just presenting this for consideration for the November, what's that, November 28th?
Yes.
23rd.
23rd.
Okay. So I'm presenting this.
Okay.
Thank you.
Mr. President, Dr. Degnan has a comment on our QSAC evaluation he'd like to share with the board.
Thank you, Dr. Maynard. You just wanted me to remind the trustees that this is a CUSAC year, that full monitoring will be taking place. We did set up our committees for the 5 areas: instruction and program, fiscal, personnel, operations, and governance. We did speak and share the district performance review of the self-assessment with the board president, as well as with Mr. Woods, the BEA president. And we will be meeting tomorrow with the county superintendent to go over the ground rules for the monitoring process. Thank you, Dr.
Dr. Dakin, how are we providing for the additional students that CUSAC says we have to?
Excuse me?
My understanding, unless I'm mistaken, CUSAC, one of the things, we said that we're going to increase our enrollment by 10%. So we need, for 30 more students, we have approximately 300. Am I wrong on that? What are we doing moving forward to provide for additional early childhood education classes?
We have enough space in the district to provide for all our pre-K 4, and we are providing pre-K 3 with our partners: Community Day Nursery, Preschool Playhouse, Jewish Community Center, and Head Start.
So we have enough other centers in place to cover what we're required to have by CUSAC standing?
Yes, correct.
Okay, thank you.
Dr. May, could I just make one more on the graduation rate? I know that slide was up there. Just happy to announce that last year, the class of 2020 of 577 students, all students that were eligible to graduate did graduate. There were 6 seniors that did not graduate, but that was not due to anything that happened with a portfolio process or a New Jersey Student Learning Assessment standard. That would have to do with their own personal graduation requirements, and of course they were always provided credit recovery in the summer. But that's something I did want to report out, that we had a successful senior year.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So at this time, we're going to adjourn the open workshop, and the board will return for the 6 o'clock public meeting. It is 5:33. Ladies and gentlemen, I'd like to call the meeting to order. Please stand for a pledge to the flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. For the record, this is a public meeting of the Bayonne Board of Education. It is 6 p.m., the 26th day of October. We're convening in the Alexander O'Connor Auditorium. The presiding officer is Maria Volato. President of the Bayonne Board of Education. Those in attendance include Mr. John J. Neese, Superintendent of Schools, Mr. Kenneth Kopaz, Assistant Superintendent for Personnel, Dr. Gary Maida, Board Secretary, Mr. Daniel Castle, School Business Administrator, Mr. Thomas Fagu Jr., our Assistant School Business Administrator, Dr. Dennis Degnan, our Assistant Superintendent for Curriculum and Instruction, and Mitchell Pasquale, our Board Counsel. The meeting's open to the public. I'll take a roll call. Trustee Alonso.
Present.
Trustee Broderick is absent. Trustee Burke.
Here.
Trustee Cassius. Here. Trustee Egan.
Here.
Trustee Finnerty has left. Trustee Wilbeck is absent. Vice President Munoz.
Here.
And President Volato.
Here. For the record, adequate written notice of at least 48 hours giving time, date, location of this meeting with the agenda was provided as follows. Notice was promptly posted in City Hall at 630 Avenue C on the bulletin board reserved for such announcements of the Board of Education. The Board Secretary sent such notice to the Jersey Journal and Community News. Notice was filed with the Municipal Clerk of the City of Bayonne, Ms. Melinda Medina.
Okay, we'll start with our agenda. Approval of minutes, acceptance of communications. You'll see two communications. Do I have a move and a second?
Moved.
There's a move by Trustee Burke, a second by Trustee Cassius. On that move and second, Trustee Alonso.
Yes.
Trustee Broderick is absent. Trustee Burke.
Yes.
Trustee Cassius. Trustee Egan.
Yes.
Trustee Finnerty is absent. Trustee Wilbeck is absent. Vice President Munoz.
Yes.
President Volato.
Yes.
Next up is our curriculum resolutions. Resolutions A1 to A18. Is there a motion
So moved?
and a second?
So seconded.
Before we vote, there is a question on Resolution A1, adoption of policies. Melissa Godsky Rodriguez, 178 Avenue F.
Melissa Godesky, 178 Avenue F. So clearly the state had passed some addition to life-saving medication for adrenal insufficiency in the one policy that is being revised. Question, and I'm not sure if you guys can answer it, will the state be providing correct me if I'm wrong, they provide epinephrine for schools, or you guys have some in the schools, correct? In case of an emergency? Yes. Will you also be provided the hydrocortisone as you are epinephrine pens for the emergency under the new guidance?
We haven't received any guidance from the state whether we will. We currently don't. Obviously, if we do get that guidance, I will share it.
Absolutely. I know that my son is maybe one of 2 or 3 that actually use that life-saving medication, so it would just be good to know for other families that may encounter that, so that was my only question. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. So we have a move and a second on curriculum. Trustee Alonso.
Yes.
Trustee Broderick is absent. Trustee Burke.
Yes.
Trustee Cassius.
Yes.
Trustee Egan.
Yes.
Trustee Finnerty is absent. Trustee Wilbeck is absent. Vice President Munoz.
Yes.
President Volato.
Yes.
Moving along to our Finance, Building and Grounds, Resolutions B1 to B21. Do I have a motion?
I'll make that motion.
Motion by Vice President Munoz and a second
I'll second.
by Trustee Egan. On that motion and second, Trustee Alonso.
Yes.
Trustee Broderick is absent. Trustee Burke.
Yes.
Trustee Cassius. Trustee Egan.
Yes.
Trustee Finerty is absent. Trustee Wilbeck is absent. Vice President Munoz.
Yes.
President Villado.
Yes.
Just give me one sec. Okay, next up is our personnel, Resolution C1 to C28. Do I have a motion?
Motion.
Motion by Trustee Burke and a second.
I'll second.
Second by Trustee Cassius. So we have a motion and second on our personnel items. Trustee Alonso?
Yes.
Trustee Broderick is absent. Trustee Burke?
Yes.
Trustee Cassius?
Yes.
Trustee Egan?
Yes.
Trustee Finerty is absent. Trustee Wilbeck is absent. Vice President Munoz?
Yes.
President Villado?
Yes.
Okay, trustees, I have a few questions from the audience. First up is our Bayonne High School student representative to the board, Petra Gali from Bayonne High School.
Well, good evening, trustees, superintendent, assistant superintendent. Recently, our student government has completed the interviewing process for our freshman ambassadors. We have 3 students, Colin Schaefer, Gabriella Neck, and Mary Mangrew, that we will be adding to our student government team shortly. They'll be wonderful assets, and we look forward to welcoming them. In addition to freshman ambassadors, we just voted on the Bayonne High School student representative that we will send to the 2020 New Jersey Association of Student Councils. The NJSLA is one of the oldest state student council associations in the nation, inspiring the, quote, spirit of New Jersey youth since 1927. Reese Trowbridge will make an excellent representative for both our school and our town. Finally, as you know, we would typically be planning a lot of exciting events for our student body at this time. However, due to the COVID-19 circumstances we're in, we're trying our best to accommodate in terms of events and restrictions imposed due to COVID-19. We'll update you as soon as we have any ideas. I'd also like to ask if the board has any updates as to when the students might be returning to campus soon. This virtual environment has been tough on many, and we'd like to know if there's an estimate in place. As always, if you'd like to communicate anything with the student body, please let me know. Keeping our student body in the loop in regards to important announcements, events, and progress that impacts them is something that has become infinitely more important now due to the district's virtual environment. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Next up is Ms. Michelle Halsey, 134 Humphrey Avenue, has a question on the budget.
Good evening. I would just like to ask you all to clear up a few things. Does any one trustee have the power to raise taxes and or change or add or take away from school curriculum?
I mean,
Your question is, do we have the power to move, to take taxes away from?
Do the trustees individually have the power to lower taxes?
No.
No.
Do the trustees individually have the power to add, take away, or change school curriculum?
Individually, no. We
Okay,
work as a
thank you.
Okay, next up is Mr. Anthony D'Amico. No?
I just want to say publicly before Ms. Halsey sits down, I want to thank you very much for my gift that she gave me for 3 years on the board. I really appreciate it. It's always nice to get a gift from a member of the community, so thank you very much.
Is that Graf? Because Ms. Halsey, you're up again. 124 Humphreys has a general question.
You're on a roll, just go for it.
And the rest of us want to know where our gift is.
Where's my gift?
Now that first marking period is coming to a close, I wanted to share my thoughts regarding virtual learning. Since some
Michelle,
trustees don't...
Ms. Halsey, can you pull the
Oh, I'm sorry.
microphone down a little more to it? There you go. Perfect. Thank you.
You're welcome. I know... I've lost my place.
You could start over.
Okay. Now the first marking period is coming to a close, I wanted to share my thoughts regarding virtual learning, since some trustees don't have students in their household. I don't live in a fantasy world, so I know that this is not the same for every student, so I will only speak about mine, and to the reason why she's flourishing, but I'm going to backtrack a bit. When this all started, She's happy and loving school despite the situation, and here's why. It's simple. It's because of your staff. Last spring, she could no longer see her teachers. And because of this, Mrs. Giordano took the time to individually hand make and personalize and laminate bookmarks, print and cut out emojis of herself, and write each student a letter and mail it to them to let them know that she missed them and loved them. As a parent who spends a lot of time filling orders of handmade items for customers, I know the time it took, and it went well above her contracted hours. My daughter was so happy to receive this package with her name on it, and as a mom who already loved her teacher, this gesture made me love her more. My 7-year-old said with astonishment in her excited little voice, which some of you may know, "How does she even know where I live?" I would send all her teachers, principals, and vice principals pictures of my little girl holding signs and messages she wrote to them, and they responded every time, sometimes even on a weekend or at 10 o'clock at night. Her current teachers, Mrs. Gold and Mr. Gotch, truly have a gift when it comes to getting these children engaged in virtual learning. Whether it's having them build car ramps, Silly Hat Friday, or a 5-minute dance party, which they join themselves, they keep the kids focused in their classrooms. I listen to the questions asked and the children's answers, and they are in fact learning. I see it in my daughter as she completes her homework. I'm not sure how much sleep Mrs. Gold gets, because when she adds assignments, they appear on my end time-stamped. Sometimes past 11 o'clock at night. That's way past her contracted hours. Her art and music teacher have been equally amazing. It's been said by one trustee that they shouldn't be getting full pay from working at home, despite the fact they're working harder or longer. As a parent who sees the classroom and interaction, I strongly disagree. In my opinion, they should get more, because I see them pouring their heart and soul into an unfortunate situation, all for the love of their craft and their students. I know this hasn't been easy for our staff, and even as your trustees, to implement all of this. I'm very proud of my daughter's teachers, and I needed to be here tonight to tell you all that you should be very proud of them as well. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Next up, Melissa Gotsky Rodriguez has an open question.
Melissa Godesky Rodriguez, 178 Avenue F. Please excuse the breathing in the mask. So, I want to thank every teacher, every therapist, every administrator, and every staff member for the past few weeks since school has started. It has not been easy. Thank you to all the parents sticking this out and doing what is best for their kid. At least one trustee here has failed to see all of the hard work put in by all. We are all trying to make the best out of what we were given. Maybe it is because he has no interest, but we will never really know. To think this trustee feels that our teachers should not have or be receiving full pay is a disgrace. Maybe this is due to the lack of knowledge and understanding of a teacher, student, or parent. I have seen firsthand the amazing work done, and I'm sure almost all other trustees have as well. Could it be the lack of attendance to committee meetings, workshops, and public meetings? Lack of community connection and understanding? Spend some time in their shoes of those you lack respect for, and maybe you will have a change of heart. Now I want to talk about what's wrong. Trustees and their family members accusing those of mental disabilities in public forum. Please tell me what kind of role model you're being for our children. This isn't the first incident. Calling people dumb. Why do you think that's acceptable? If I called anyone up there dumb, right now I'm sure you'd be very upset. If you were to witness this behavior from a student, whether in person or virtual learning, what would you think? What would their consequences be? None of you are above policy. Calling people delirious. There are people daily who are diagnosed with medically and prescribed medications with very serious side effects that often lead to a loss of life. But here we are, you are, and unfortunately some are not in attendance, throwing it around like a please and thank you. Are you not worried about the example you're setting for the past and present students? What would they say about your behavior? You're not the voice that was voted in, and I for sure don't sound like, nor do I treat people like that. You are not my voice. Maybe once you had respect for others, maybe soon you will find it again. After all, it has been a tough year for all of us. My family has been through enough over the past year. The one thing my son holds on to is his education, what he learns and how he learns it. I want people up here who represent this district with pride, dignity, and take this seriously, not those with a personal agenda. Life is too short. So thank you for all the trustees. They're out there doing the right thing for the right reasons. We commend you all.
Thank you.
My last card, Mr. Gene Woods, president of our BTA.
I'm just here tonight to say thank you to all of our educators in the district who have been doing a great job during this remote learning. Obviously, it's been stated tonight that it is not very easy. Some days are quite difficult. You know, it is taxing on everybody, and I think, you know, all of our educators across the district have been pulling a lot moving forward, you know, with their own families at home as well. And I just want to make sure that, you know, they hear it and that they know that, you know, I appreciate it. And obviously we're hearing it from the community as well. Sometimes educators, we get attacked way too much because people don't really know what happens in the classrooms, or they don't know what's obviously happening in our homes right now. But I just wanted to make sure that all the educators get the due respect that they deserve in this environment that we're dealing with. Because it's, you know, it's very, very important for that to happen for us. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Woods. President, that's all I have.
Dr. Maida?
Yes, Mr.
I
Neese.
would just like to make an announcement. The Bayonne School District will remain on virtual instruction till at least Tuesday, December 1st, 2020. And that's due to the rising number of COVID-19 cases, and we are still working on procuring our supplies for our heating and ventilation systems. Thank you.
Before we conclude, I asked our lawyer if I'm allowed to offer an apology, and he said I can only offer it as a member of the community. So I am offering an apology to every member, every resident of Bayonne. I apologize for the tempo this campaign for school board has taken. We as residents deserve better, and our children deserve better. And it is a heartfelt apology for the negativity that has come out during this campaign, and I am truly sorry for that. Thank you. Now, back as president, we could close.
Okay. Is there a motion?
Excuse me.
Oh, go ahead.
Wait,
Just
Someone want
real
to
quick,
speak?
would everybody talking about teachers. Yesterday, a retired teacher from Bayonne High School, Kathy Kelder, passed away. Kathy, personally, I was a huge fan of her in her class. I got the opportunity to know her a little bit more as an adult over the years, and I just want to just recognize that she gave her time to this city, and maybe a little moment of silence for Ms. Kelder.
Yes, please.
Okay, thank you. Trustee Egan, motion?
Yeah, motion to adjourn?
Motion. Trustee Cassius, second? And a second. So on a motion and a second to adjourn the public meeting, Trustee Alonso?
Yes.
Trustee Broderick is absent. Trustee Burke?
Yes.
Trustee Cassius? Trustee...
Unbelievable.
Okay, let me just go back again.
Sorry.
The board will break after we adjourn to go into a closed session, but the board will not return. So no reason to stay. I have a motion and a second. Trustee Alonso, you're a yes. Trustee Broderick is not here. Trustee Burke is a yes. Cassius is a yes. Egan is a yes. Trustee Finnerty is absent. Trustee Wilbeck is absent. Vice President Munoz?
Yes.
President Villado?
Yes.
It is 6:19. Public meeting is over. We'll recess to go into a closed executive session. The board will not return. Sorry about that.
So.
Yeah, I didn't.